Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Dolls Do Talk. Thank you for listening. I wanted to talk about something today that is extremely important to me and maybe to a lot of other people, but it's something I feel doesn't have a lot of attention on it. And because of some things I saw online, I did want to maybe talk about it and bring a different perspective. I hope that I could do that for you today. If you are here and you want to keep listening, go ahead and like and subscribe now. I would greatly appreciate it. Let's just go right into it. So basically, this is going to be about fostering on YouTube. So what I mean by that is I did see there are people that have there isn't a YouTuber in particular. I guess she's considered an influencer. She does have a little bit of, let's say she scammed a bunch of people from what it looks like. This is not an assumption. She is actually going to trial for this. So if you know who I'm talking about, I don't have to say the name. If you want to go ahead and look it up, you can. I just don't really want to bring attention to attack anybody here, but I just really want to bring attention to what's going on. So what's happening is there are people that are fostering children, and they are posting the content online of the experience of fostering. Now, there's a lot to be said about this, so I'm gonna have to structure this the best that I can. So what I want to first and foremost say is that a little bit of background about me, so you understand the perspective that I'm bringing you today. I have experience in adoption and fostering, but not from myself as that I did those things or I'm adopted. I am not. But I will explain some things to you. Both of my parents, without saying too much about them, both of my parents are adopted. And then my cousin is, I have three cousins. I apologize. I have three cousins who are adopted through my mom's adoption. So let me explain. My mom was adopted, and her adopted father, the father who adopted her, he has his sister, so it's my mom's aunt. She is also a foster parent, so she takes in children. She has now adopted three girls. They've been my cousins since I was 5. I am now in my 30s. So just a little context to that. And also, I have an older brother. He is both my mom and dad's son. He is my full brother, 100%, and he was adopted out because my parents did have a child in a situation where they could not take care of it, and so I have now reunited with my brother. My brother is in my life, so I have a lot of perspective from a lot of angles in this way. I have every person that is adopted in my family is either I have every scenario possible probably of an adoption. I have my father is adopted by his family, so his grandparents adopted him. So he has blood relation to who adopted him. My mom was adopted at birth with a closed adoption. And my brother was adopted out in an open adoption, but it was somewhat closed later on. And my cousins were through the foster system. And before my three cousins, there was two other kids that right before them that were going to be my cousins, but they didn't end up getting adopted. And before them, there was two other kids that were in my family that same situation. They were there temporarily, and then they didn't get adopted. And I'll explain why that is not on my personal experience. I'm not going to go into the details of any of the people I explained here because these are not my stories to tell, and that's actually part of why I am here today. So what I did see is there is a YouTuber that is and this is not just one YouTuber. There are a few that are doing this. So you could go ahead and check this out. I'm actually going to link possibly a couple of videos to this so you could kind of get context of what I'm saying if this doesn't make sense to you, or you want more context for why this might be upsetting to some people, including myself. So I did want to touch on this because I think it's highly important. And it's kind of like a conversation that I did see when I was researching this, that a lot of people that were reporting on it, and I mean making videos about it or speaking about it, they I did really appreciate too that they felt, I can't speak on this, I don't have a lot of experience, it doesn't seem right, but here's my opinion, but I don't really want to say too much because I don't know this. So I thought, okay, well, this will be something that maybe I have a perspective on, and maybe I could fill some people in on this. So let me get to it. So basically, this YouTuber has fostering. She's fostering a child, and I believe it might be her second. I don't really fully know, but it's either like her first or second time doing this. From what it seems, at first she was going to adopt the foster child, or plan to if she could. And then now I'm not really sure. It seems to be misinformation, so I don't really know here, but it's that she might be fostering to foster. There are also other people that are doing this. So there's another person, I don't know her name actually, but I actually will link the video to her, in particular that I saw her on, because, that one is a little more, worrisome than, I mean, they're all worrisome. They're all worrisome, but, I do think that some things need to be seen. So I might tag a couple of things, but again, this is not to spread hate to anyone. I just think that this needs, awareness. But basically, these people are adopting or fostering children, for content. We don't know for sure, obviously, but when you adopt a child, or foster a child, you cannot post the child online. You have to blur their face. I did see some people say you cannot actually post them online at all. Now, the people in my family that were adopted were all adopted before social media, so I don't know the update on that. But I do know that you cannot show the child and you have to blur their face. Now, this is where it's problematic, and let me break it down for you. Okay, so the foster system itself is extremely, extremely flawed, and it's not perfect. And a lot of times, I think that there's a glamorization of, well, just adopt. Like, you could, if you can't take care of a child, you get up for adoption. That is, like, of course, the best option in some aspects, and then some it is not. So, for example, the foster system has too many children, in the sense that they're not all ever adopted. There are many, many, many children that never will be adopted. They will go through the system until they're 18, and then they will never be adopted. They could go from foster home to foster home to foster home to foster home. The other thing about this is a lot of foster homes are not good intentioned. Okay, so this doesn't mean if you ever give your child up, you should be feeling guilty or bad. Okay, you have to do what's best for you and for your child, but you need to also understand the dark side of the foster system to understand why this is scary and upsetting, and why it's a real fear. Okay, basically the foster systems, they are supposed to background check you to the fullest extent. There's a lot of things that you pretty much have to be, not a perfect person, but you have to have a very clean record, and you have to have, there's a lot of proof that you have to show that you're going to be really genuine about taking care of this child. Now, what I'm seeing here is that something with one of these YouTubers got through the cracks, and maybe a couple of these YouTubers that I've seen, that they, in my opinion, from what I know about this, they shouldn't legally be able to have, at least one of them shouldn't at least be legally allowed to have a foster child. But I need to look more into that, because the case that against her husband in this case, it's a lawsuit and a firing, but I'm pretty sure if you prove that something was violent, it should account. But because there is video, and it's a lawsuit that he lost. So I will look more into that, and I will probably put it in the comments what I find about that, because I might not find that information by the time I make this video, and I probably should have looked that up for you. So I do apologize about that. But just remember, these are YouTubers, and the information is online and it's public. The foster system could see these things, and they have every right to not choose someone for a child. They don't have to take a child to these people. Like, they don't have to give you a child, even if you qualify. Okay, so just let you know that. There's a lot of people who try to adopt, and it doesn't work out for them. So just know that. The thing about it too is a lot of people, well, everybody that adopts a child, or fosters a child, I apologize, both actually, both, they get a check. They make about $1,000 to $2,000, I believe, and this has always kind of been that way for as long as I know. The thing about that is a lot of people use that and they abuse the system. So they will foster many children or one child to pay their rent or to feed themselves or to have a little extra money, and they don't care about the child. There are many horror stories you could look into, actual crimes of foster children being abused in every aspect that you could think, or being even possibly, there are a couple that have actually been murdered. So I really want you to understand that some people do not have good intentions. I think that's kind of obvious, though. I just wanted to emphasize, though, why people do this, because it would be strange. I know people would be like, well, why would you just take a child in and then hurt it? Like, well, because usually that person doesn't want the child to begin with, and something's probably wrong with them anyway, mentally, in some aspect. Maybe they have mental health issues and they're just beyond, and they're taking children, and they're like maybe a sociopath or something. I don't even know. But I've seen it in stories, and I've heard the things in real time about experiences that not in my family, but the experiences that I know, like from the people that I know were in foster care. I've heard many things that are very upsetting. So you're probably wondering, how does this relate to the YouTube situation? Well, I've already said a couple things, but the thing about this is you cannot adopt a child or foster a child and then put it on YouTube for content, because, let me break it down. One, the child cannot consent to that. Period. It's also not your child. And when I mean not your child, yes, when you are fostering a child, you are supposed to be taking care of that child, and you are a foster parent. If you are taking care of a child like that, you are the foster parent, and that is your foster child. But that is the relationship right there. The love is supposed to be the nurturing way of a mother, and you are supposed to bond the best that you can. But you do not make decisions for that child's future if you are not adopting that child. Even if you are planning to adopt the child, until that child is yours, it is not technically yours to make future decisions for. Why, you ask? Well, oftentimes when you foster a child, the child ends up back with its original home, or, if it's the father or the mother or whoever ends up back with. Sometimes you have cases where, like, the mother passes away or is in jail. You have many reasons why it doesn't go back to both. Or it will go back to one or the other. Usually when a child gets taken into foster care, it's not always adoption, like, oh, the mother gave the baby up at birth. So this is why I need to explain this. A lot of the times, fostering is actually the baby being taken away. Okay, so this is very important to emphasize. A lot of the time, the baby is taken away. That does not mean that the mom and the father, or one or the other, does not want that child, okay? So when reasons why a mom might get their child taken away, I'm going to name them for you. Drug abuse that is severe, where they cannot take care of their child. Mental health that is so severe that they cannot take care of the child. And maybe they're not taking care of the mental health, or no one around them can help them, so it's kind of out of their control, and the child has to be taken out of the home. Going to jail, obviously, if you give birth in jail and there's no one to take your baby. There are, or like if you had a child and you were on drugs at the time of birth, they might take your child. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I think it just depends on the situation. I'm not really sure, but I know a lot of times they do. And so there are many reasons why, or that could happen. So I just want you to emphasize this. So when you take, this is where it relates back to YouTube, if you take a child that you are fostering and you put it online, you don't know necessarily, I mean, I don't know the aspects of this. I know personally about certain cases that are in my life where the parents did know where the child went for fostering, and it is kind of problematic when that happens. So when you put the child online that you are fostering, whether or not you blur the face, you share, the YouTubers that I saw are sharing the child's stories, okay? They are sharing the child's story of what happened with the child. That is not their story to share. That is the child's story, and the child may not ever want to share that. And there's a big reason for that, because the things I named before, they're very, very personal reasons why someone might not want to share the story, because obviously it's one of the most personal things in the world is your relationship with your parents. Second most important thing is your livelihood, the way that you live, or like, the things that might traumatize you or anything like that. Like, you don't necessarily want those things out there when you need to work on them or you need to learn them yourself. These babies don't know even what's going on. These are babies, by the way, that I'm talking about in the situations that I saw, but this applies for all ages. When a child is ready to share their story, they will. So again, when a baby is taken out of the home without adoption, like meaning the mom didn't decide on that, when you have the baby on YouTube and the mom might know where you're at, who has the baby, that she's an influencer, she could go look and see what's going on. And like that you're taking care of the baby. That could be absolutely devastating for someone who wants their baby but can't get it together. And if someone is not empathetic towards that, that's on you, but you have to understand that most children that are in this situation would want to be with their real parent, and it would hurt them too, okay? Because most people, even if we have issues with our parents, sometimes, you don't have to feel this way, like, but if you sometimes have issues with your parents, or you do or you don't, there's always a bond there, and you don't have to have that. Of course, you can break that, of course, but there is always a bond there that is protective of each other in some aspect. Whether or not it's acted upon is different. And I think that a child would want to understand their parent and, like, not hurt their parent either. In that situation, they would want the parent to fix everything and get better so they could come home. The thing is if someone sees that, that's a very spiraling situation to be a mother and to see someone taking care of your child and have access to it like that. Like I said, I don't know the full details of someone else's adoption, and I don't even really care to. But I do know what I see on what is presented to me on a surface level, and it's not good. The other thing about this is that when you put a baby on YouTube, we already know if you're fostering, you're getting some sort of money for that. The second thing is you're going to get double money now because you have YouTube content, and these people are influencers that I'm seeing. They are people that have followings. Whether they're good or bad followings, they have them. Just remember that. Because when I mean by good or bad, one of these people, well, I believe two of them, but a couple of the ones I saw seem to be canceled. I did see a lot of fostering content that is good, though. So let me get back to something that is good. Is the good thing about fostering on, like, if you just do a tutorial about, like, no, I wouldn't call it a tutorial. Oh my god, excuse me. If you just do a video explaining the process of fostering, or you explain, like, your journey with fostering, but you don't ever say the baby's name or the baby's situation, and you never show the baby, don't even say where you got it from, I'm fine with that. But when you're sharing where you adopted from and all those things, people can clue in and they can figure it out, and there's just many things that the baby, I think the word's docs, like, you could find out things about that baby's real life. And I don't think that that's okay, because, like, even if you're a foster parent, that is not your baby yet to make decisions for its future, to decide to tell the world its story. Especially, and I don't see why you would have to show the child in any capacity, even with a blurred face. It just doesn't make no sense to me at all. Because if you need to know how to take care of a child that you're fostering, there's plenty of videos, like, where I'm sure there's moms who explain, like, how to be a mom. Like, you could use a toy, like a little baby doll, and, like, demonstrate things. Like, they make realistic baby dolls. Like, you could, like, if you need the, like, arm to move a certain ways to actually truly demonstrate it. They probably have, like, guinea pig, like, dolls that you could, like, work with to demonstrate how to take care of a baby. I'm sure, like, hospitals probably have something like that. I mean, I don't know, but I'm assuming there has to be some realistic doll that you could make this work for, like, even, because I don't even agree with putting your real child on there, but I'm not going to speak on that because I don't agree with it. I think that, of course, every child should be able to say, I want to be on there or not, but a child really can't make the decision anyway, because they don't really know the repercussions of social media yet and how it stays there forever. And we do know about the pushback with the lawsuits that some of the children are filing against influencer moms. So that is real. So I don't agree with that either. But again, I don't want to speak on that. Like, I don't want to have a formal stance there, because I mean, my stance is I don't like it. But I'm only speaking on what I know. So I just wanted to share this with everyone. Like, I did make a video yesterday and I decided not to upload it because I was a little passionate in it. I wanted to calm down and make sure that I said everything the right way. I wanted to make sure that it was presented in a way that people understand. I do kind of want people to really look into what fostering is and the scams that have always been around it, and maybe kind of see why this is problematic and why there's no reason to actually show the baby, and why you really could just explain how to be a mom or how to bond. You could explain these things without ever showing the child. It's clearly obvious what people are doing if they show the child. There's no other way around it. If you don't agree with me, that's okay. But I just want you to know that there's a lot of layers to the fostering system. And I think I touched on the best that I can without going into too much detail, because a lot of it is very, very horrific. And I just want you to do your research if you agree with this, that these influence she or whoever is doing. I really, really, really want you to do your research on this. If you need more context from me, I could give it to you. I could go further into this. So please, if this is not enough for you, I got you. I got more to say. But I really just wanted to do a quick touch on this. But like I said, I'm doing this for awareness, for people to do their research. Please do your research about why this is problematic if you agree with what she's doing. If you read that and see all the cases that you pull up every case you possibly can, you pull up every foster system you can and you read into them, or see everybody that has been a foster child's account, every person that you could come across, please, if you still feel this way, that's fine. But I promise you, you most likely won't. Okay? Have a nice day, and I am really thankful that if you listened all the way to the end, it means a lot to me. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.